All right, I don't understand this title for Inside Star Citizen. Mission Cognoscible. I have no idea what that means. No idea what that means, but I guess we're going to find out here right now. We know this is with the Mission Feature Team, and Mission Feature Team makes a lot of content for Star Citizen. So, oh, it's for consignment, maybe? Yeah.
Every time we talk to the folks at the Mission Feature Team, they've always got a number of interesting irons in the fire. And as they pursue work on the upcoming Alpha 320 and beyond, now is no different. So let's check in with them and get some updates on a few of the new features they're working on, including one improvement to the law system that's a long time coming.
We've released the salvage contracts already.
Yo, where's the blue hair, bro?
And you buy a contract from a contract.
He said in chat that he got the blue hair back yesterday.
Broker, and it's just a transaction. You buy the rights to salvage, and you can just salvage at your own leisure. There's no risk. So we wanted to add a bit more variety. The illegal ones, there's a timer with enemies, but once you get rid of them, like, that's it. So we added the cover-up missions.
It's an unlawful mission.
Okay.
And the idea is that Ninetales have committed.
Sorry, I'm going to pause it. Reach the Starfare, estimated time for arrival 20 minutes. We know that's probably going to change. Payment $25K plus bonuses. I assume the bonuses is you keep whatever you got. Got a particular salvage job that we can use some extra hands on. We need you to find a missed Starfare that got punched out around the asteroid surrounding Yela. Security is already searching for it, and if they find it, they'll ID it for sure and will be in loads of trouble. Okay, so we want you to scrape it. Scrape it clean before anybody else gets eyes on it. Rip the entire hull off so nobody can tell who it belonged to. Don't leave a speck of paint, and obviously keep your mouth shut about anything you see. We'll cred you up, and anything you scrap is yours to keep. But if security finds the ship, and then that's all we get.
Did a crime and want you to cover their tracks.
We know security is going to investigate the crime scene, so you're being hired to scrap all the identifiable markings and paint, and you have a certain time limit.
It's the first mission really to have fail timer. So if you don't take the skin off of a ship in time, the police will turn up, instantly clock it and say, you know, this is Ninetales and you'll have failed your job.
This is different.
You fail the mission, you don't get paid, you have nothing to show for it. However, if you do
you do get the scrap though, right?
successfully manage to completely wipe the ship clean, then you get paid because you rendered them service, which is also going to tie in with reputation, which the current contracts don't implement yet.
If you do want to get greedy, you can still get greedy. You can still start taking parts off. That isn't part of a mission. You can still go aboard, and there's probably going to be, you know, really valuable things aboard.
What I like about this mission is that it's a bit of a precursor to how we want to start evolving the salvage missions as we go. Currently, salvage missions don't have reputation tied into them. You just buy the contract and you're done.
Talk to me.
But this is going to start our work towards having more reputation scopes. You're actually going to have rewards coming in with finishing these missions. There's actually going to be a reason for doing these in the long run.
That just said awarded 50K instead of 20.
One of the things we'd noticed is that
he said actual rewards. What does that mean? Oh my God, I need to know more. Actual rewards means what? Right? Like an item, a paint, a thing?
even though they're salvage missions, now that you can take cargo off and weapons off, people are actually leaving the skin. They weren't using the salvage beams as we imagined they would. So it's
see, like, why would you imagine they would? The thing for me is this, like, what's on the screen right now, I said it from the beginning, is not salvage. But this is. You're salvaging parts, right? And I just don't think that, I think that's hull stripping. That's like its own thing. You know what I mean? It's its own thing. So there's also the idea that the Vulture's only available for real money. Very good point, Debasi in chat, is that people don't have access to a salvage ship very easily, so they're kind of forced to do it. But for me, it's a very clear and distinct difference of their salvaging and then there's hull stripping being as a part of it. So I think that they put too much weight on the fact that hull stripping was the first part. So that is what everyone's going to do. And it's, based on the ships and stuff. But in reality, the world of salvaging is open to anybody that finds a wreck with the ability to take out components and cargo, right? So it's open to so many more people, and it's so much more exciting. So what I hope they're doing here, and what I'm gathering, and I think I would love to see, is specific hull stripping missions, which is what we just saw, and then these more open-ended ones that anyone can do. And the cargo needs to be improved on them, as well as the ability to get more interesting, unique, rare, powerful components off of salvage ships. Like the possibility of them, they would need to be very rare or whatever, right? But the possibility of it would be cool. Like, I think that there's 3 parts to salvaging currently. It's and then possibly 4 in the future. You have your hull stripping, you have your cargo looting, and you have your item looting. And then in the future, you can have like fuel scoop, like draining the fuel and oxygen and things like that out of a derelict ship at some point too, right? So that's what I see salvage being, is those 4 parts, and you utilizing those, taking those items and turning them into things later with crafting, or using them on your own ship in terms of like oxygen and water and things like that, right? That would be really cool. But that's what I see salvaging as, and I think I like the direction of saying this is a hull stripping mission, and this is a everything mission. And maybe even at the hull stripping mission there's cargo and stuff too, but your time, so you got to do the hull stripping.
The skin, they weren't using the salvage beams as we imagined they would. So it's been nice that we can actually make that part of the mission. We can make the feature the mission critical aspect.
Yeah.
With Siege of Orison, we built these new Crusader platforms. You've definitely seen Solanke platform, Brushwood, Heartmoor. And building those, we essentially got all of the building blocks required to expand Crusader even further.
We made Inspiration Park, which is a whole collection of
As someone who loves bunkers, I feel like I should be excited for this. And I don't know why I'm not.
4 platforms and a whole bunch of buildings. Then we started doing platform infiltration missions on them. The problem with that is that every time a mission location is used, it can't be used by another mission at that point. It's kind of reserved. So if 2 people do that, that's already 6 buildings out of the rotation, which limits a lot of the buildings. So what we decided is to have several more of these platform parks.
We really just wanted one location that would be for Siege. We intended to copy and paste those all over the place in new formations. And that would mean that the Siege Islands would just be for Siege, so that the event and the missions don't have to share the same location. We knew we could then take those islands, reconfigure them, and then just place them all over Crusader.
Using multiple locations around Crusader spreads players out more, which helps the performance. And we kind of wanted to use the planet itself more as well.
The intent was to run Siege for 319, but unfortunately we weren't able to hit that. We ended up in a very awkward position where we had disabled the ability to have the current missions that went out on those islands in 318 available in 319, and we also didn't have the other islands placed. So we just had to turn those missions off completely until we get these new floating islands. So we made the decision to add more islands all around Crusader. It allowed us more freedom, we can tell different stories. The new consignment mission involves the item dispensers that you've seen at Jumptown and in Korea.
The consignment missions are made by Max.
You'll be tasked with going to the UGF to retrieve a...
Not Max. Just kidding.
Mission critical item.
There's several NPCs walking around, either security guards or other NPCs, and several of them will be carrying data pads with a code on them.
By taking the tablets on them, players can see these codes.
You will have to sift through multiple codes to find that item.
Think of it as an Amazon locker where you have a code for your delivery. So you have to look on a tablet which code holds which set of items. You go to a terminal, enter the code, and then it starts spitting out these objects one by one.
You can even type that code in and like stop it halfway through and then type the code in again and get the other half of the consignment out. The consignments can be found in various places. Like there's a lawful mission where you go and the security occupants of a UGF have been killed by the Ninetales. So there's all these corpses around and you have to go searching through them while fighting off the Ninetales to find these data pads. And, you know, scanning through the data pad and you finding whether it's got the mission critical items that you're looking for, or maybe just some really valuable items for things like Haddonite and Dolavi and things like that you usually only find in like one-handed carryables. We're adding into boxes. So that's a nice little like bonus there you'll be able to find.
Yeah.
For greedier.
That's not that little. I mean, it depends on how big the box is, right? I think it's going to be a 1/8 SCU. So, what does one SCU of Haddonite? 225K, something like that. 275K. So, 1/8 of that.
You are, or the longer you
like
take to get this mission done, the mission grows more and more difficult.
We built a new system, a new module, which we're calling the anti-up system. It allows us to spawn increasingly difficult waves of AI that will approach and attack the player while they're at a location.
The AI coming out of it grow more difficult, like through light, heavy, medium armors.
Whoa.
The unlawful version of this, you're actually acting as the Ninetales, say. So you go into a UGF that's run by securities and you have to kill the bosses that come out and get the data pad off of those.
I do a lot of bunker missions, so I'm excited to get some more variety in them. Unfortunately, like I play more on the lawful side of things, so if it's like a bunker mission where I have to kill like security guards, I'll be less inclined to do it. But if it's shoot Ninetales and steal their stuff, then yeah, I'm all for it.
So the reputation ladder is going to be tied to these missions. A lot of players care about the reputation ladder themselves in completing that process, but as an extra incentive to climb it, they will unlock the harder tiers of this mission. And in the process of doing so, there will be more data pads that can drop across the mission. It will be more difficult to stay at the location, the more data pads you want to retrieve, and you can sift your way.
Bro, like if the AI actually came out of the elevators consistently and stuff, yeah. But I think people are just going to farm these with like AI just standing still in elevators.
Through the mission critical items and the extra items of the things you want, load them up, get them out of the UGF onto your ship and away. So it's going to be all about how much players want to go for the extra bonus loot, whether it's worth the risk of staying if they are low on ammo or are being overwhelmed, or if they have enough friends to bring to them to the location, which versions of the mission that they do. So I think it's going to be really interesting, and it gives players the opportunity to do missions at their own pace and, you know, remain at the location as long as possible as the risk increases.
Interesting. I mean, does it end? You know, do the waves end, or do they just keep coming? I'm super curious because I would love to just get a big group of people, get a 1 SCU size box, fill it with ammo, and leave the ammo on the elevator and just go as long as we can. Right? That would be super cool.
Since the inception of the law system, we've had the issue where if someone trespassed on your ship, you would first be given away by the chat system saying that you joined the ship.
Gives your position away straight away. I've always disliked that notification, and it pops up whenever you enter any ship, not not just your own. We had that popping up all the time when you went above the Javelin, say, in the Fleet Week. So I'm happy to say that we're changing that now so that you'll only see that notification if you are a member of a party of the owner whose ship you're going aboard.
Hell yes.
With the new implementation of the trespass system, the chat will no longer give you away, but it's not all benefits for a trespasser, because now the pilot...
He even said the chat will no longer give you away. So does that mean you can't look in the ship list and see who's on it as well? Because here's the thing: is the alert is one thing that is significant. If they're also removing the player, like where you can look at the player list of who's on your ship, I like that.
That can defend their ship without legal repercussions, which makes the trespasser at risk at all times.
We've basically made the interior of ships a trespass area for anyone who hasn't been invited aboard, and by invited we mean in a party with the owner of a ship. So imagine there are two players, they're in a party together, and then there's a third, like, trying to sneak aboard. The owner obviously enters a ship as normal, doesn't see anything. The party member, same, steps aboard, doesn't see anything. This third player trying to sneak aboard will see a private property warning and then be trespassing. But, you know, you step off, a few seconds later, that's fine. No one's allowed to shoot you anymore. You know, could have been a mistake.
I'm going to use this to kill people. Yeah, of course. Like, you're going to bait them onto your ship and then kill them? Because a lot of people are going to try messing with this.
But if you stay aboard, you're just lawfully be allowed to be attacked by any owner of that ship or their party.
With you having the trespass settings for you and your party on a ship now, it just adds a little bit more of a risk for people who are trying to potentially grief or simply play through that gameplay loop, and they will know.
He used the G word.
That they're trespassing and feel that extra danger when they board somebody else's ship as they are in a monitored area.
We're really excited to give you guys this. It's been a long time coming, we know. But it was just not as simple as the trespassing around areas, which was just a simple action area. This has so many edge cases, as you can imagine. You can actually nest trespassing, so you can have someone else's ship aboard your ship, and you can be in a trespass area, and we have to figure out which trespass trumps the other trespassers. We also have to build.
I mean, you shouldn't have to figure out those things. We should, if somebody is, you know, the big ship is whoever the biggest one should determine what the trespass is. Like, you should be trespassing, period, if you're in a different ship. Right? That isn't a part of the party or whatever. They should have made like auto turrets to kill trespassers. I think eventually they'll do stuff like that. Right? Little size 0 turrets or something that are all around your ships, and you can place them in there. Let's see what happens with things like no, this is it. This is the right start. It's just a law change. Right? That's all it is. This isn't the solution to the problem. This is just fixing one of the problems with the problem, I think, is saying you can now defend your ship. But like he's saying, there's all these edge cases. There's all these things that they have to do. So like that's how I look at it. They can go in all these directions after this, but they have to set the law and say, you're allowed to stand your ground. Right? And that's it. And I think that's what this is about. It's a very long-winded way of saying we're going to allow players to protect their ships and not be penalized for it. Because right now, if somebody boards your ship and you kill them, you get a crime stat, you know, and that's insane. So they're just kind of resolving that silliness, and that's really all it is. And then sharing, you know, a few other things that it's about, you know. I don't know.
Then precautions. So say you're lured aboard a ship, you're invited to a party, and then they kick you from the party. You'll still be allowed to be aboard that ship until you leave. It's just that you won't be allowed to defend that ship lawfully anymore. Also, if you hurt anyone aboard that ship, you will instantly then be trespassing as well, and they'll be able to shoot you back lawfully.
Okay.
It's taken a lot more work than even we originally thought it would, but it's just going to be a real game changer.
It finally gives ship owners the right to defend themselves on their ships and fight back against the pesky pirates we have out there.
Yeah, that's good. I like it. I'm glad he didn't say
One of the things
again,
farther ahead that we're working on is barge heist. It's basically taking what we know to be popular and fun in this game, so something like Jump Town, but we're making it.
Yeah, I mean that's really good in theory, but it's good. Like you said, it's gonna have his edge cases. Think of the scenario of like the double ships inside and stuff like that. Then, are you not trespassing on the main ship if you're in the other ship? So it's kind of a mess when it comes to that server recognizing whether or not you're there. We see how long it takes to do that on many things. There's going to be problems with it, but I think their heart's in the right place. And it's a matter of Star Citizen's not done. So there's so many pieces of that puzzle that are like missing. And it will never work perfectly because there's so much other crap that doesn't work. Yeah, like I like the idea of like just adding a few small turrets inside the hallways of your ship or whatever leading to the cockpit. And them knowing whether or not you're allowed to be there, and they just let loose, And then it comes down to engineering in the ship. Like you can turn those off by cutting the power to the right places, but then people will know on the ship if the power was cut. Why? Oh, maybe there's somebody on here. Let's go check it out, So I think that is where things can get better, but yeah. Luke looks like he's saying, "Make me some pasta. Mi piace molto. Mi piace molto bene la pasta."
Have a finite resource and a much more interesting location.
What we're doing is allowing players to buy in information similar to how some of the salvage contracts work. And from there, they get the information about where this cargo barge is, owned by a Crusader, and happens to be just in the middle of this heist situation where the Ninetales are taking it over and they're trying to take all this stuff from Crusader.
Bro, I am fucking so sick of the Ninetales shit. I just want to see something else. You know what I mean? Like, here's the one thing that bothers me about this show so far, and we're nearing the ending. Like, look at the bar. Remember when there was mining missions? Remember when there was cargo missions? This seems like one,
The barge that we use in Siege of Horizon,
I was really hoping
heavily
to see
modified,
more of that.
so there'll be lots of entrances and exits. What's great about using the barge is that we can put it anywhere on Crusader, far away from the landing zones and anything that, may cause performance to dip. So there should be no performance impacts.
We've placed a terminal, a cargo terminal, inside of the container interior of the barge. And when players find this terminal, they can turn it on to open various containers using different kinds of ID codes found in the environment.
Basically, you unlock several cargo containers belonging to different companies, and different companies have different items in there.
So hopefully, players will learn which containers might contain what types of materials based on the brands, right? Crusader Industries is transporting completely different types of loot than maybe, say, ArcCorp is.
I mean, this...
The cargo containers open.
These are always so tough. The loot doesn't matter in the game as much as it could. So it really, like, for these to really hit, it's got to be like, what are you delivering, right? Like, I think one of the things that made the salvage mission so sick is the fact that there's gasping weevil eggs at 1 SCU, maize at 1 SCU, right? So there's big valuable things. Okay, that's a start. Maybe rail guns, maybe things, but like, if it's ArcCorp makes items, right? Like ship components and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, we just need... It comes down to this. I think somebody asked me in my YouTube channel today or yesterday, and I commented on it this morning when I woke up about, oh, you always talk about progression. What do you mean by that? Can you give some examples? And like character progression, ship progression, these things like really matter. And I think when you do the missions, they don't really outside of like your first bunker mission or whatever, the character progression slows down significantly. Like if you go down there with just a flight suit, and then you get yourself some armor, you get yourself some weapons, like you're pretty set at that point. And then after that, it's kind of like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And like, why are you playing the game? Where are you looking for that progression? And I would love to see things like, size 1 really good shields here that you could pull out with a tractor beam, or a power plant or something like that. I think that would be really cool, along with commodities, things like that. In the end, everything hinges on making huge changes to the items we wear, the guns we use, the ship items, and crafting. Right? It's a lot of stuff that has to happen, and I'm willing to be patient for it. It's just a matter of, I have such a hard time getting excited over any content, especially with loot, when I know the loot doesn't add that player progression to it. Like, there's no doing this mission and having the chance to find the best armor in the game. Because what's the best armor in the game? It's pretty much like the hot or cold suit, because it's the only armor that has a different value to it from the heavy armors. That's so uninteresting, right? That's so unexciting. And I don't think Star Citizen should ever be an RPG. But when it comes to loot, I think that's where like player progression can happen, since we don't have skill progression, right?
All in different rooms.
Would I consider reputation as progression? Yes, but what do you gain from the reputation if it's just more of the similar types of missions with the similar types of loot that doesn't matter? Not really, right?
Around that location,
That's how I feel.
You're fighting over every single box, trying to hold down like a room. There's no way you can hold down the entire thing unless you hold all the entrances. The location is so like so much of a maze. You'll have people stumbling in and out of it, and lots of people wondering, oh, is this person here to steal a box, or is he just trying to get through to the next room?
What we really wanted to achieve with this is give the players complete freedom of which side to take. You don't take a contract from Crusader asking for help, or from Ninetales wanting you to help them to take something.
In future, when we have reputation-based hostility and you can make friends with these guys, they will be your cover. So I can see plenty of exciting PvP action that's going to come from this mission. So that's a brief look at some of the things the mission team has been working on recently. We can't wait to get in your hands, especially the ship trespass system. That's going to change the game completely. And yeah, I'm really excited about Barge Heist, so thanks for watching.
Barge Heist looks cool. I'm looking forward to hearing what loot is in it.
You're going to want to check out the public roadmap at the robertsspaceindustries.com website for details on when each aspect of their continuing work gets scheduled for a specific release. And as for what we learned this week, well, we learned that more platforms means more opportunities for adventure across the gaseous surface of the planet Crusader. That salvage gameplay can be utilized in interesting and creative ways to create new mission types. And that whenever that trespass system comes online, a new day for shipboarding PvP arrives with it.
Yeah,
it's one we've all been waiting for. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for exploring the process of game development with us, and we'll see you all here next week.
It's one you've all been waiting for until every landing location. People are following you into your elevator, getting in your ship, and killing you the moment you leave Armistice, right? Like, I think we're going to see some complainy Spectrum posts, but it goes both ways. And I think it's totally fine. But I think we're going to see some very angry Spectrum and Reddit posts about it. So prepare for that. But at the same time, I think it's a positive change for the future, and something that you need in the game. If somebody's in your ship and you don't want them in there, you absolutely think Jumptown for a second, right? think about Jumptown, and I think this is the best scenario for it, is one of the things I absolutely love doing at Jumptown is joining someone's ship and trying to steal their maze, right? Now, if you do that, the people who defend your ship do not get a crime stat. Like, that was like one of the craziest things. I would join their ship and steal their maze. They would shoot me, and I'd give them a crime stat. Bountied, right? You got a bounty now, and now everybody goes and kills that guy. For what? Right? Like, these things had to change. These things had to change. But, and I do think announcing anyone who enters your ship is insane, right? It's just not very good. Like, you should, I don't know. I think MFD changes, things like that could really help, like seeing doors open up, or maybe there's in the future, like maps, area maps. We saw that in the Squadron 42 monthly report. So things like having an area map for your ship and maybe seeing movement or being able to ping inside of it, things like that. Yeah. So that's the thing there. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm a little disappointed in this one because I was really looking forward to my kind of excitement when it comes to missions, but I already got a lot of my stuff, which was a big mining update, big salvage missions, things like that. And I was really looking forward to 320 mining missions, very similar to the salvage ones. And I would say I'm extraordinarily disappointed that we don't. I don't know. This is you know, when they wanted the pat on the back for being open about the mining, or the Santokai, right? They were kind of fishing for this pat on the back. Like, look at us, we're so open. We show you our failures. You just had the mission feature team on. Where's what happened to mining missions? Where are you open? Where are you talking about that? Right? What happened to those? Right? And I know Luke said these are some of the things we're working on. Maybe those are still there. But if they had them, you know they'd be talking about them. So I don't know, man. That's where I'm at right now. Where's my mining? And don't stare at me, chat. Okay? Where are my mining missions?
Every time we talk to the folks on the mission feature team, they've always got a number of interesting irons in the fire.
Reverse the verse audio.
And they pursue work on the upcoming Alpha 320 and beyond. Updates on a few new features they're working on, including one improvement to the new law system that is going to be a long time coming. You're going to want to check out the public roadmap for robertspaceinitiative.com website. A salvage game that can be utilized in interesting... Go away. I can't work in these conditions.
For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for exploring the process of the game development with us, and we'll see you here next week.
It's good enough. All right, yeah. I mean, that was ISC. Again, everything that was there looks really cool. The mission that I'm most excited for, let's say I like the fact that we're having hull stripping specific ones. I hope that means that they take the other ones and really focus them on the cargo extraction, the weapon and item extraction from those ships, right? As well as hull stripping being like more of a bonus. I think that would be really cool. And then having hull stripping specific ones that maybe they've already been picked dry, right? Like if I was going to make a lore mission, it would be Nine Tails or Tar Pits or Adagio, right? Those are the two salvage companies that we have right now. Adagio says, we've looted the ship dry of its components and its cargo, but we don't really have time to do the hull stripping. We're moving on to our next things, right? We're very busy, so we're offering these contracts for you to hull strip these ships exclusively. That's all they're there. Everybody knows what they're getting when they get to them. I'm just hull stripping here, and that's where you go and you do your hull stripping things. Similar with the tar pits, right? We already looted this thing. You want our leftover scraps? Those are your entry-level hull stripping missions, right? And then you could build up from there. I think I would love to see that, where they're separated, and then you have the ones that have all of the things combined. I think that would be really good. And then, I think that was it consignment or whatever mission, the one in the bunkers where you find the tablets and it has like endless waves. That's the one that I'm super excited about. That's the one that I want to really, really like try to challenge myself with, if the AI are working, hopefully.